Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. I'm Randy Wright, your captain speaking, and as always, I'm joined by my first officer, Jeremy Grapenton. Folks, we just witnessed, what is this, the seventh nationally televised GOP presidential candidate debate, and let me sum up how some of these arguments went. Dr. Carson. Governor Krispy Kreme. Hamburger!
Wobble, wobble.
Donald Trump. I have a tower. I built a tower. It's good. It's good. El Jefe. We gotta fix immigration, but act of love. Marxist Rubio. Ted Cruz lied about my ears. And the true victor of the debate? Ted Cruz. Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, did you notice who was not on the stage? I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar Fiorina? She was in the kiddie pool debate. And it looks like Rand Paul picked up his toys and went home.
We want to go build a burger. Audit the facts.
Burger? Hamburger?
Build a burger.
Yeah. Folks, if it sounds like we're being a little bit flippant, it's because everything that we have seen with most of these other candidates has been nothing but a line of ridiculous malarkey. They are not standing up for the American people. Ted Cruz actually offered solutions, and he wanted to abolish the IRS. And I think it's so funny that Big Ears Marxist Dubious Rubio kept trying to call it a VAT tax. And I could have sworn that Christie was going to get mad because I think he heard fat tax. But, and I say this as a fat individual.
I'm quite full myself.
But compared to hamburger, I mean, gosh. But you had John. Oh, I forgot to put John Mushroom Kasich's argument in the generalization. Well, that's how memorable he is. He's not memorable at all. But folks, we saw the same arguments as always. We saw Trump try to attack Cruz, and we saw Cruz just dismantle every argument put forward by Trump. He made Trump look like a chump because that's what Trump is.
Yeah, well, let's face it, Ted Cruz came right out swinging. And I got a feeling that over these past debates, he's been backed into a corner, and he's just been biding his time, is all he's been doing. And now he's starting to tip his hand, and he's only letting people see what he wants them to see. And in due time, he will divulge his whole hand. It will be a royal flush, literally, of all the other candidates on the stage. Why? Because Ted Cruz, when he came out swinging tonight, the very first thing he did, he made it known that he is the only viable candidate on stage that has actually upheld, supported, and defended our shared Constitution. Period. Nobody else did, and especially when he says, well, I'm not going to take legal advice from Donald Trump. That is probably one of the smartest things anybody has ever said.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. On Drudge, it's already got Trump and Cruz spar over New York values. And this comes off of Breitbart. And it says, Republican presidential candidates, Texas Senator, and then they repeat Senator for some reason, Ted Cruz, Texas Cruz. Actually, he could probably make a slogan out of that.
Sure could.
Told fellow candidate Donald Trump, not a lot of conservatives come out of Manhattan. I tell you, that was a huge zinger. Absolutely huge.
And then what was Trump's response? Well, William F. Buckley, over pronunciation of the letter F.
Yeah,
William F. Buckley, the same William F. Buckley that actually attacked the John Birch Society, which in previous episode we made note that they have been getting a bad rap because of people attacking them maliciously without having all their facts in order.
Oh, and see, Trump did that just so you understand. So conservatives actually do come out of Manhattan, including William F. Buckley and others, just so you understand, and just so, if I could, because he insulted a lot of people. I've had more calls on that statement that Ted made, that New York is a great place. It's a great people. It's got loving people, wonderful people. I built a tower, and when the World Trade Center, which was also a tower, came down, I saw something that no place on earth could have handled more beautifully, more humanely than New York. No, screw
Really?
you. Screw you, Trump. It was America that was attacked that day, not just you Yankees. It wasn't just you New Yorkers. And I'm sorry if that's offensive. I really don't care, because I'm tired of this holier-than-thou crap that we get from the East Coast.
Well,
spare me.
Let's point out another individual that is a great American, according to Trump, and a good person and a caring person. Former senator of New York, Hillary Clinton, one whose campaign he helped finance. I guess them New Yorkers, they know how to stick together. You cut off one toe or one finger, you just glue it back onto the other. Freaking him. I don't care. Trump is a putz. He is a chump. Period.
I feel bad for the people in upstate New York, because they truly are conservative. They truly are Americans. And they sit there and they look at what that city does to them. And they're trying to do it here in Texas now, too, with Dallas and Austin and all of the big cities. They're trying to flood it with these Fabians. Folks, don't buy into what Trump's saying, because in 2000, he wanted to run in the Reform Party. big-eared Ross Perot. What is it with the big-eared candidates? Obama big-eared, Ross Perot big-eared, and Marxist dubious Rubio big-eared. I wish they'd flap their ears and go fly away. But anyway, Trump wanted to run for the Reform Party in 2000 on universal health care, banning all guns, free for all on abortion, and probably gay marriage.
Yes. Now, here's the thing regarding the Yankee statement that Randy made just a couple moments ago. I don't take offense to that. You know why? Because I don't consider myself to be a Yankee. Okay? See, when I hear the term Yankee, I hear snobbish, elitist, pompous, arrogant, lazy comb-over addicts of power that want to, put their thumbs and look down their nose on everybody. The New York Yankees come to mind?
Yeah.
Really? A bunch of talentless hacks, as far as I'm concerned. Overpaid, talentless hacks. I know plenty of people who I've played baseball with growing up that have more talent in their pinky finger than some of those flippant rejects that, I could go on and I digress about this, but the point is, I'm in agreement with Randy on this. I live in the North. I live in Michigan. People from the South consider Michiganers Yankees. I'm not a Yankee, okay?
No.
I'm born in the North, but I'm Southern by the grace of God. I'm American, first and foremost, above anything else.
Yep.
So, and if people take offense to that statement, guess what? So what? Because we're not about political correctness. In fact, as you all remember, I've declared war on political correctness.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at the comments on this thing. Like, there's this one person going by the name India Maria. I love both these patriots, but Senator Cruz is young and inexperienced, and as we are reminded all the time, a brilliant debater. And though he is actually accurate in his general description of NYC politics, it places him in an awkward spot. He has allowed the experienced older bull has now got him on record writing off the voters of NYC. Kind of like Romney and his hopeless 47%. Hey, wait a minute. What was the last time that New York City went for a Republican for president?
I don't know.
You know what? I have a feeling that it was probably Theodore Roosevelt. Probably.
Probably. Hey, what is this cybernetic freakaholic saying here? The inexperience to the older. What inexperience are you speaking of? Are you speaking of the so-called inexperience of Ted Cruz as Solicitor General in the state of Texas, who argued in front of the Supreme Court, standing on the Constitution, defending the Constitution? When was the last time Trump and his hairpiece decided to slither into a courtroom and actually defend the Constitution and speak a piece on it?
I know the last time he slithered into a courtroom, it was to his sister's courtroom to use the power of eminent domain to steal property from law.
Inexperience? Yeah, maybe someone should, rearrange the letters and keys on your keyboard there, India Maria, and why not just, paint them all over with whiteout, to match your mistakes on the screen. Oh, I don't know what backspace is. I don't know what the backspace is. Oh, where's my whiteout?
Where's the any key?
Here's the any key.
Yeah, so I'm already looking.
Delete yourself.
I'm already looking because they're still holding the poll, and I went ahead and voted in the Drudge Report poll. But they show Trump at the top with 57.27%, Cruz following at 29.76%, and they say that Trump has 71,897 votes. Cruz has 37,364 votes. Next comes Rubio with 8,274 votes. Hamburger is next with 2,359. Then we have the Mushroom Kasich at 2,018 votes. Then El Jefe comes in at 1,875 votes. And then Carson comes in with 1,746 votes.
Well, you know what? Maybe someone, slipped Carson some, NyQuil, or his voters some NyQuil. And, El Jefe, well, they're just not showing enough love. It's just not enough love.
Crossing the border quickly enough. But, Rubio showed his true deceit tonight. Mm-hmm. Coming out and kept trying to call it a VAT tax when that's clearly not what it was. And when it was fully explained that that's not what it was, Rubio does what Obama does.
Him a double down.
Yeah, thank you, Governor Krispy Kreme. Yes, he doubled down on his talking points, even though it is demonstrably false. Demonstrably false. And I like the quib that Cruz took at Trump when Trump said that, Cruz mentioned that Trump had offered him the vice president position. I thought that was funny. And then he said, well, I will extend the same courtesy. Well, no, I'll go back to building buildings. Good, I need you to build a wall.
Yeah, and that right there is the show of true leadership. A person who has true leadership qualities knows how and when to delegate something to somebody.
Yeah. Oh, and then even though Reagan is overly lionized,
mm-hmm.
He was good his first term. His second term, I don't know
not so much.
What the hell happened? But I like how Cruz took the debate play out of Reagan's book where he just slammed Mondale.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if you folks remember, it was the 1986 election, and Reagan told Mondale, I won't use your lack of experience against you. Cruz pointed out, because Trump's trying to pull this birther crap,
yeah,
Even after the fact in September, he said that his I got very good lawyers. I built a tower, and the lawyers came to my tower, and they said that, it's all good. It's all good, Trump, and so there's no problem. But now he's trying to say there's a problem, saying that he's not a natural-born citizen.
because he
And
wasn't born.
Cruz nailed him.
Yeah. Trump's excuse is based on because Trump was born within the borders of the United States. Yeah, but his mother was not. His mother was a naturalized citizen, and this is and Cruz just, like you said, nailed him on it. Cruz's mother was born in, I believe it was Delaware or Connecticut, one of those two states.
In the 30s.
In the 30s, 1934 or 35.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that his birthright is passed on because, again, just like with Judeo-Christian laws or in Judaism, the lineage is passed on and the birthright is passed on from the mother to the offspring. Since the United States Constitution is rooted in natural law and Judeo-Christian principles, it follows just as such. His mother was a citizen. The laws on the books say that because his mother was a citizen, natural-born citizen at the time of his birth, he is a natural-born citizen. But Trump's rebut to that is, well, I was born here. I was born here. Well, you know what? Ted Cruz, in essence, speaking, was born here as well because his mother was a naturalized citizen or natural-born citizen. So, yeah, guess what, Trump? Go ahead and wring out your hairpiece, dip it back in your little mop bucket, and then sling it back onto your, sloped forehead.
Now, NBC Wall Street Journal shared poll, boy, is that not a corrupt mix, says Donald doubles his lead. With what? With what? What debate were these people watching?
Tony Peace Nugget.
Yeah, thank you, Governor Crispy. You have to sit there and just scratch your head. You know who these people remind me of? The people who supported Barack Insane Obama when he was running for his first term. Oh, well, he speaks a hopey changey, Trumpy, Bildy Wally.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Trump has used eminent domain power in an illegal fashion. He has committed federal bankruptcy fraud.
4 times in 11 years he filed bankruptcy? Oh, yeah. But those are different companies and they're different entities.
Sorry, they were alter egos. We pierced the veil.
Yes, that's true.
Now, Trump says that he wants to, bring jobs over here and we put a protective tariff on our stuff. That's actually where Rubio was quasi-right. Something came in one ear and flew out the other, but they're so big it got caught. If you put a tariff on our trade goods, China will retaliate.
With a bigger tariff.
That's why protectionism doesn't work. But if you get rid of the highest corporate income tax rate in the free world and replace it with a flat tax, not a VAT tax like Dubious there said it was, but an actual flat tax, you will reinvigorate the economy. Absolutely and totally.
This is basic economics.
Not to be confused with Keynesian economics.
Sure, yeah. And what Cruz is talking about doing, and again, it is very simple. Abolish the IRS. But no, Marcus Dumbo-eared freak thinks that, you can't abolish the IRS. Well, yes, you can. It's very simple. It's very simple. At the founding of our country, We didn't have the IRS.
Yeah.
We had a tariff tax, which is probably the closest thing to a flat tax that we're going to see. Now, if you have the flat tax, you abolish the IRS, what does that do? That gives the authority back to the states to collect the tax revenue from the citizens of each state and then hold it over the federal government as a check to say, you know what? You want to do this? No, we're not going to relinquish that money to you.
Yeah.
It gives the authority back to the sovereign people.
But you
But
know what?
Rubio thinks, oh, you can't abolish the IRS. Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
Yeah. And then what's so funny is that Jebby Bush, El Jefe, tries to make a moral crusade against Donald Trump. And he said, I gotta get this off my chest, everybody. Donald Trump is a jerk. Really?
Really?
That's the best you can come up with,
It-
El
it-
Jefe?
Folks, if any of you have actually watched the debate tonight, someone should have reached up and gave his tie a jerk and actually tightened it up a little bit, because I don't know who his wardrobe coordinator was, but
I don't know. That tie was as loose as his morals and his political principles.
yeah,
And yes,
it probably,
that was a pointed attack at El Jefe.
yes, and we can describe other loose things, but we won't go there. So,
Leave the moderator woman's lips out of this. You know, folks, you do have to start laughing at this kind of stuff because you can't make it up. You can't make up Trump masquerading as a conservative when he used to always say that Hillary was a great person. Now, he tries to explain that as being a business write-off, but I've known big business people. My grandfather was the general counsel for Amoco Oil. He wouldn't have ever had a Hillary Clinton at his children's wedding.
mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have schmoozed with a Hillary Clinton. Now, in public, would he be polite to her? Yes. Just because that's what polite society does. But would he, a Harvard-trained lawyer, yes, my grandfather was a Harvard-trained lawyer, put up with Trump? He would have called Trump an illiterate backwater from New York City. That's exactly what he would have said of Trump.
And he would have been correct. Absolutely
Yes.
Correct.
And somebody needs to tell Trump, if you're going to wear a wide tie, your lapels need to be wider than your tie.
I wonder if
For
him and
somebody
El Jefe
who's
had
so...
the same...
Yeah. His same tailor.
Yeah.
Must have been
yeah.
blind, deaf, and dumb.
With two
It's-
fingers.
Yeah. What is it with these people that they can't seem to find a way to tell the truth? Marxist Rubio lied about his Gang of Eight position. Trump lied about his gun positions. Look, folks, Trump likes to go out there and speak that he's all big on the Second Amendment. But what if you wanted to go to Trump Towers? Could you carry a gun in there, even if you had one of the most difficult carry concealed permits to get in New York's?
I'm inclined to say no.
In fact, you'd be right. Trump's property in Naples, Florida, you can't carry guns to it. Why? Why, Mr. Trump, if you really are... all right, Trump, I've got a challenge for you. If you're really serious about this, you need to make it to where guns can be allowed on your property without any screening, without any fear.
After all, an armed society is a polite society. And
But you see, that's what Trump's problem is. He's not polite.
No. He lacks severely in the manners department.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's nothing more than a public masquerade of what he's doing.
And folks, we're not just doing this to be petty. Trump is the one that's not giving details of a plan. Build a fence, we'll do something, forget about it. That's nothing. That doesn't tell me what he's going to do. I support the Second Amendment. Prove it.
I'm
Prove
pro-life.
it.
I'm pro-life, but yet you condone abortions in cases of rape and incest, which, by the way, is still murder. Because you are still exchanging the life of an innocent, unborn child as a penalty for the actions of some other miscreant.
Yeah.
It's still murder. But yet, he's okay with that. But on all other matters pertaining, I'm vehemently opposed to abortion. I'm pro-life, except for those two things. Well, guess what? You're not pro-life, Trump. You're not. Let's be real about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's actually talk about what it is that Trump has proposed. I think I can count on one hand the real solutions Trump has proposed. I have to hold it in a fist because it's nothing. Because that's exactly what he's proposed. And I'm not doing this to just attack Trump. I would support Trump if he proved that he has really changed his position from 2000, but I don't think he has. Folks, you remember he used to go on to Fox and Friends every Monday morning from, what was it, 2011 until 2014, I think, give or take around there. And even back then, after Sandy Hook, he was saying that who needs an assault weapon, quote unquote. No, now he doesn't want any restrictions on it. You see, the lack of consistency is what bothers me.
Well, he's just saying what the American people want to hear instead of what they need to hear. He's not being truthful and honest. He's telling them what they want to hear so he can masquerade what his true intentions are.
Yeah.
He's keeping people in the dark. Whereas Ted Cruz, what was it that was brought up about his this filing of whatever it was?
Oh, the loan that he had.
The loan that he had.
And he used his own assets as collateral. It was based off again. That's perfectly fine. It's just that he filed the wrong form. Listen,
a simple
folks,
mistake.
It's very easy to make mistakes on these convoluted government forms. Have you ever seen how confusing your tax forms are?
Well, when Ted Cruz has his way, it'd be nothing more than the size of a 3x5 index card.
Yeah.
That's about it. But see, Ted Cruz took all the wind right out of Rubio's ears and Trump's hair when he said, yes, I made a mistake. I filed the form correctly with this agency, but I didn't file it correctly with this agency. It's a common mistake. Folks, if anybody ever says, well, I've never made a mistake filing a form like that, he was Texas State Solicitor General. You know, he should know better than this. You know what? He's human. He makes mistakes, and this is why Cruz is genuine. Because when he makes a mistake, he owns up to it right there. He admits it. He doesn't try to hide it or masquerade it as something else or push it off as something else. This whole fallacious attack on him voting for the TPP or whatever that Rubio tried to, flap his earlobes around.
It was actually the Gang of Eight that he was trying to say that he was in support of.
Sure. And what Rubio needs to do is draw his earlobes a little bit tighter under his chin for his little strap for his helmet and stop playing these semantic games, trying to entrap Cruz, because that's what he did. And you know what? Cruz is a better debater than you, Rubio. He is a better politician. He is a better conservative, which you're not even a better human being. He's a better person, period. Why? Because he is genuine. He makes a mistake, and you know what? When he's faced with something or a false accusation, he's right there on the spot, to put you in your place. And that is what he did. But this whole thing with it, well, you supported amnesty. No, he voted for things like that again because there
It
was
was a poison pill. It was a writer that was a poison
Trojan
pill.
horse. Trojan horse.
It's so hard to take Rubio seriously. And folks, I'm going to tell you right here and right now, I have a little bit of an insight on him because he was the one that gave my commencement speech at graduation. And if there's one faux pas that you just don't do as a politician, and I know this is going to sound a little bit petty, but if you give me the limp-wristed, wet fish handshake as I'm walking across the stage to take my diploma, it shows me that you don't have the courage or the intestinal fortitude to do what's necessary to keep this country straight and keep this country safe. You know, Rubio, your problem is you're fake. You're a fraud. That's all you are. And you kept saying that that Cruz voted for all of this stuff and was actually for it. How would you know? You were never in the Senate. You were out doing whatever you do, missing votes. Mm-hmm. No other senator missed more. And it was your old mentor, El Jefe, that pulled that attack on you. You let El Jefe Jebe Bush outmaneuver you? Wow.
Tripped on his lobes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, somebody needed to get some insulin to Governor Krispy Kreme. I thought he kept looking like he was going to drop over dead. Hamburger.
You know, at one point during the debate, and this may seem, you know, childish and petty, but it perfectly describes him. I recall the movie Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, where they're sitting in the restaurant, and the guy says, I have to go, you know, the hitman that was sent after him, I have to go to the bathroom, and he comes back, and they put all of these hot chili peppers on this guy's burger, because he has an ulcer. And when he took a bite of that, and he just started sweating, as if Hurricane Sandy, supersize me storm Sandy, just developed right above his head and unleashed the watery hell down his face. Krispy Kreme Grimace Christie had that look on his face.
He had it because they were challenging him on his gun positions.
Yes.
Because remember in 2013, he was doubling down on his statements that we should just ban, what was it, assault-type weapons?
Yes, yep. That, folks, if that wasn't a hamburger caught in the headlights moment, I don't know what was. I really don't. I mean, it's the look on his face was absolutely priceless because he knew that he had been caught
red-handed.
Yeah, with his hand in the fry bag. So it's just, and there was nothing he could do. Nothing. Absolutely nothing he could do. The best thing he could have done at that point in time was turn off his microphone and walk off the stage.
Save everybody a lot of time, money, effort.
Yeah. Increase blood pressure, cholesterol levels, whatever else.
Hamburger. And then you had Dr. Carson whining. Oh, I'm so glad you asked me a question. I was about... You know, folks, I know we seem more petty on this show than usual, but you have to realize this is what, the 7th debate?
And it's the same stuff. It's
the only one that shone through all of this was Ted Cruz.
The only one that's actually increased the support and showing his viability as the only viable candidate is Ted Cruz. Every single debate, he's ramped it up. notch by notch by notch.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all the other candidates, many of which have now decided to go wade in the kiddie pool, or just take their little, Lincoln Logs and Tinker Toys and go home and, decide they're going to build a burger and audit the Fed, which, whatever that means. Listen, folks, the Fed has been audited. It was audited several times. His father tried to pull the same shtick, and it didn't work for him. Now he's trying to play that card.
I'm looking at... So, I love this. The Drudge poll, it's on a site called polldaddy.com. You've got to be kidding me. But it shows Cruz still at 30% with 45,000 votes, and Trump is now up to 57% with 85,000 votes. I have a feeling that these are probably glue-eating children that are going back and just hitting Trump over and over and over and over and over again. Because something tells me that a poll from polldaddy.com is not going to be scientific. Just gonna kind of throw that out there. Drudge, you're better than this. Why are you doing polldaddy.com?
For every vote you cast on polldaddy.com, you and your family will get a free knit hair weave ski cap to wear for the hard winters, because it's coming, even though climate change, but it will protect you from all of the parts and pieces of the penguins that explode.
Yeah. Speaking of global flattening, I'm seeing under all of the debate stuff, January hurricane forms in Atlantic, first in 78 years. I wonder if it's going to go hit Trump Towers. That's where all the hot air's coming from.
Sure. And the most vocal candidate, slouch, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, Mr. Climate Change himself. Oh, Bernie Sanders. Oh.
My name is Bernie Sanders, and I have, I've got Thunderbird liquor and, Mad Dog 2020. That's the good sauce. We all need free sauce and education. Oh, and somebody needs to tell Krispy Kreme he can't have no more hamburgers. Redistribute.
Why is it that Dumbo Rubio, Grimace Christie, and a couple of others were sitting there, worried about Bernie Sanders, nerd face? Why? Why are you talking about him as if he's some kind of threat? He's an admitted communist, socialist.
Yeah, he's a Fabian.
He's a Fabian. Why are you worried about him? You're sitting here speaking his name as if he's some kind of threat. If you would remove your ears, and here's a little something for Dumbo Rubio. Tug on your ears a little bit harder, and when you hear that pop, we will all know that your head has been firmly removed from your rectum. Okay? Because what's happening is you are trying to posture up Bernie Sanders as if he's some kind of political threat. He's nothing. Nothing.
Oh, and didn't you like how they went to, Nick Rada, Haley?
Yeah.
And Trump said, Trump said, "Oh, she said she's my friend after she attacked me. She's right. I'm angry. That's about the substance of what I'm going to argue here, because I built a tower.
I'm very angry. I built a very angry tower."
I mean, let's actually point to the facts with Nikki Haley, with what she did in the response to the president's State of the Union address. She, first and foremost, attacked her own party.
Yeah.
She attacked the frontrunners. And, it's quite clear I'm frustrated with Trump's performance tonight. But I don't think that it's okay for the detente wing of the gutless opposition party just to attack him because he doesn't necessarily fit their things. But I'm reminded of a word that he said, well, I used to be part of the establishment until I started running. Then I wasn't part of the establishment no more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing that I picked up on Little Miss ... was she said something, and I'm paraphrasing here because, well, I just didn't really care what she had to say. So I'm not going to care about how I rephrase this, but something to the effect of, well, we don't want, immigrants to fear having to come here. They shouldn't be afraid of coming to the United States. Well, you know what? Yes, they should, because if they're not willing to adhere to the standards and the principles of what a naturalized citizen or a natural-born citizen of the United States is, meaning following the Constitution, knowing the Constitution, learning it, and living by it, if they're not willing to do that, then they should be very afraid of coming into our borders. Because those individuals that don't show that kind of fear, those are the individuals that have nothing but devious, evil intentions on their mind. Because, see, sometimes when you fear something, that means that you're supposed to embrace it. You should fear learning the Constitution because it is a frightening thing and experience when your eyes are opened to truth and reality.
So I'm looking at this article from NBC that says that Trump has doubled his national lead in the Republican presidential race ahead of tonight's debate. But what's interesting is you have to kind of scroll down to about the fourth paragraph, and here it is. Yet in a hypothetical one-on-one race between the two Republicans, Cruz tops Trump 51% to 43%, while Trump beats Rubio in their one-to-one matchup 52% to 45%.
But that's like, this whole threat of ISIS, and the terrorist regimes, from 30 years ago, and the problem with that. But over the past 24 months, it's the same thing.
I think why I'm for amnesty.
Yeah. And that right there is nothing more than strict adherence to Common Core mathematics, folks. That just like these poll numbers. They have to be using some kind of common. Well, if you just go ahead and add 2 to this number, and then you round up to this number, then you can actually round up, double time, hamburger. It's no wonder that people in this country, the citizenry, are of the mindset to where they've been duped over and over again. They follow these polls, and I'm not a believer in polls. To me, polls only serve 2 purposes: to teach people somewhat how to count or get a grasp of numbers in a very, kindergarten fashion, and 2, it gives certain individuals something to moan and complain about. I don't put any stock or any thought into these polls. I look at me, oh yeah, that's nice, and then, oh yeah, that's nice. Kind of like some of the conversations that Randy and I have discussed pertaining other individuals. Yeah, that's nice. Sure, that's nice. So
it's funny. The WAPO has now put out a piece saying that running second has made Cruz everybody's target. And it basically, this is by Jenna Johnson, Katie Zazima, and David A. Farhentold. Great. Before Thursday night's 6th, okay, we're wrong, it wasn't the 7th. Look, we're going to take a page out of Cruz's book. We were wrong, it was not the 7th, it was the 6th. So sue us. Presidential debate.
Please try.
Senator Ted Cruz, I will win, had ascended to the most dangerous position in the GOP presidential race, 2nd place. Now, folks, that already tells you there's something weird about everything that's going on. And during the contentious and sometimes surreal debate, it wasn't surreal. You had Dr. Carson, and then you had hamburger, you had the mushroom, and then you had builds a tower with Fisher-Price pieces, Trump, and Big Ear Rubio. The only thing that was surreal is that you could have so many, such a gaggle of maggots in one place. But it's funny because it said Cruz faced attacks both from below when rival Senator Marxist Rubio called him a flip-flopper. When has he ever flip-flopped, Marco? You never demonstrated that. You never clearly delineated where that happened.
And he won't.
Because he can't.
He won't.
Because he can't.
Because he can't. Just like he can't shake hands.
Yeah. He should look in a mirror to see the flip-flopper, and then when billionaire frontrunner Donald J. Trumpikins with his Fisher-Price Tower question his eligibility to run. Trump, I'm still waiting for your proof that Obama was not eligible to run.
That's right. He did make something of a mention of that a few years back, did he not?
He did, back in 2011.
I think so.
Oh, and then he said, "Oh no, I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to show it."
Wait a second. Hold on. Trump makes mention of this. Trump is friends with Hildebeest. Hildebeest has a lawyer named Philip Berg, not of akin or any relation to the Bilderbergers.
Burgers
files. Double
hamburgers.
Philip Berg files the first lawsuit at the behest of Hildebeest. Trump is friends with Hildebeest. Trump latches onto this and then retracts it and says, "Well, I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to show. I'm going to go hide up in my Tinker Tot Tower."
Yeah. Oh, and this is great. The next paragraph. The result was a night in which Cruz, a former college debate champion, found himself repeatedly on the defensive. Trump managed to turn around Cruz's attack on New York values, giving an eloquent, especially for Trump. That wasn't eloquent, it was nonsense. Tribute to New York's recovery from the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. All Cruz could do was applaud.
Elegant?
What?
Eloquent? Really? It was more like back alley wise guy yammering.
Yeah. And then it said, and in the debate's late going, Cruz reacted to Rubio's list of apparent position changes by saying that half of it wasn't true. The implication, which Cruz surely didn't intend, was that the other half was. It's a turn of phrase, you morons! This is an example of the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media. There they are. They're salivating now. They hear the bell. They hear the bell.
Hamburger!
Oh, wow. They even got the Hamburglar to ring it. That's amazing. But it then goes on to say that the bright side for Cruz was that he must be doing something right to be the center of attention just a few weeks before the first Republicans start voting. And then they said that he claimed, "I'm glad we're focusing on the important topics of the evening," he said with sarcasm after being asked whether he qualified as a natural-born citizen since he was born to an American mother. Wow. Okay, Washington Post. Seriously, get an editor. Here's the sentence. After being asked whether he qualified as a natural-born citizen since he was born into an American mother. What?
Huh? Hamburger, get in my belly. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah. And then
how does that work? I mean, Randy, you and I are both college graduates. If we would have written anything even remotely resembling that sentence in any of our papers,
Our professors would have shot us. They would have
yeah.
shot us. Certainly, my law professors would have shot me for such shoddy workmanship. But then it continues. It says the downside was that so much of the debate broadcast on Fox Business Network focused on criticisms of him. That meant less scrutiny on Trump, who is still leading Cruz in most places and has pared back Cruz's lead in Iowa.
How many times was Trump booed?
Nearly every time he spoke.
Nearly every time he spoke. So, let's see.
And Cruz was only booed, what, once?
Once. After he exposed Marx's dubious Dumbo for his blatant lies.
Yeah. Then Rubio went after Cruz at the end of the second hour of the debate, saying that Cruz had changed his position on immigration. He never did.
Never did.
Marxist is lying here. Then he said that he flipped on trade and the military to follow shifting political winds, except that Cruz supported Marxists Rubio's amendment to that bill. How intellectually disingenuous can you get? Hey, Marxist, why weren't you in the Senate for most of your votes? What's the problem? Where were you? Trying to send money back to Cuba so that your family there could become bartenders? Like your daddy? Spare me.
You know, it's more nonsensical bovine excrement is what it is. And of course, you have something like the WAPO, not to be confused with the Whopper. Hamburger. This is more of the political correctness propaganda that we've been speaking about. Is all it is. It's being perpetuated and fermented and created into something that doesn't resemble anything of any savory taste or flavor. So, nothing that can be enjoyed with a nice Robusto cigar, I might add. You know, to do so, I would have to light the cigar and put it out in my own eyes.
Yeah. And, you know, we have given we have given Trump credit in past debates when he was actually doing well. I didn't see any of that tonight.
No.
I didn't see any of it. I just saw meaningless bloviating about nothing.
Well, I think his facial expressions showed exactly how very angry he was at, you know, making a fool of himself, a chump.
And then Rubio, according to WAPO, said, I saw you on the Senate floor flip your vote on crop insurance because they told you it would help you in Iowa, Rubio said. That is not consistent conservatism. As if Marxist Rubio, who went out and teamed up with Chuck the Schmuck Schumer to flood this country with the illegal aliens, would have the wherewithal or the qualifications to go after anybody for flip-flopping. Spare me.
Yeah.
Spare me. And he was trying to use Cruz's slogan against him. Well, I would use Marxist's slogan against him if it was even memorable enough to recall. But it's not. It's just as milquetoast, meaningless, lost as he is. Because it's as convoluted as he is. Hey, maybe that's it. Convoluting for America.
Yeah. Hey, that works. And when I'm president, I'll make it work for you. What's this shtick? Every single time, when I'm president. And then he changed it, when I'm president, to if I'm president. That's a big if, Rubio. That is a very big if. Because, see, the only way I can foresee you becoming president is if the gutless opposition party railroads everybody else, including Trump, and throws all their support behind you. By the way, remember what El Jefe said about Nikki Haley? He said he was setting her up for the VP position.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Nikki Haley's come on scene out of nowhere. How? Why?
Yeah.
See,
that was a hit job by the gutless opposition party's detente wing.
Now, if you noticed when what Ted Cruz says, if I'm elected president, if he did not say when.
And then it's as president, I would.
As president, I would. He put the trust in the American people and basically was saying, if you vote for me as president, he's putting all the trust in them. He's placing the confidence with them. He's confident enough in himself to where he can, again, delegate confidence and trust into the American people and then solidify it when he says, as president, I will do this, this, and this.
Yeah. And then, back to Marxist, after he had said all those things, then Cruz replied with, I appreciate you dumping your oppo, meaning opposition, research on the debate stage. The crowd in North Charleston booed him for that. Why? Because that's what Rubio was doing. And then...
Well, it's exactly what he was doing. And that crowd, I think, did that on cue.
Oh, I do
too. That's just me.
Yeah. And then, yes, here's where he said at least half the things Marco said were false. And see, I like the little editorialization done by the graduates of Pavlov's Media of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media, saying that, that infers that half the things... No, it says at least. Meaning, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. Saying that, at least, meaning that probably, if not all, of everything he said was false.
Yes. Then you have, I built a tower. You think they like each other? Trump quipped, appearing amused as the two rivals sought to kneecap each other. Now, why was that in quotes? You see, here you have Trump's statement in quotes and ended with quotes. Then they say, with the Trump quipped appearing amused as the two rivals sought to kneecap each other, then they put another close quote.
Mm-hmm.
Editing, WAPO, editing. Seriously. What's wrong?
How can they even be considered to be any kind of faction? I think we would get better editing if, we were to pick up a copy of the Chronicles of Farouk Tardia and have them run the headlines on this. Yeah. At least, we would know exactly where they stood on it.
And then we had Hamburger saying that Obama was a petulant child. And then one of the things that the WAPO did, tell me if this is not showing a kind of bias. Unless Christie knows something everyone else doesn't, Obama is not running in the election this fall. Why is that relevant?
I don't have an answer for that. I really don't.
Yeah. And then it goes on to say, during the exchange about Cruz's citizenship, Trump told Cruz that there's a big question mark on your head, and you can't do that to the party. Oh, you mean like how you were, refusing to say whether you would run against the party?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that to the party? Then, Trump, give me an ever-loving break. Seriously. And don't talk about something on somebody's head. What the hell is on the top of your head? What is that thing?
It's
alive. Is it a dead animal?
It's alive.
And then Trump added, who the hell knows if you can run for office? Trump added, hey, how about the attorneys you said told you back in September that it's an open and shut case, there's no problems? Hey, Trump, to use, your New York values there, forget about it.
Not to mention the fact that when all this was tried again with Adolf Obama, the courts found that there was no standing to even bring suit. So guess what? Even if someone was to try and bring suit, the courts would have to, I don't know, reciprocate with the exact same ruling.
Yeah. Oh, and then I love this. Cruz's response: the Constitution hasn't changed, but the poll numbers have.
Yes.
And I recognize that Donald is dismayed that his poll numbers are falling. Oh, that was just perfect.
And again, as mentioned on previous episodes, that from the beginning of the race up to this point, Donald Trump, much like his hair, has been stagnant with the numbers.
Yeah.
Spiked and flatlined. Cruz started off lower than everybody else, has gradually increased over time, showing that he is gaining favoritism, and he is not flatlined.
Yeah. And then Trump said, well, yeah, because now he's doing a little bit better. I look down from my tower, I see him. I have to drop my Fisher Price, foam building blocks here because I'm in construction. I didn't care before. But, he's probably got a 4 or 5% chance of winning the race. Now let's flip that around. Remember, Trump said he would never say whether he would just stay in the party. And then he changed. Mm-hmm. Just like he said that we should ban firearms. Then he changed. Just like he said he was for universal health care. Then he changed. Just who is the real Donald Trump?
And there's one other aspect that none of the other candidates could stand up to or even hold a candle to with what Ted Cruz said regarding ISIS or radical Islamic terrorists, which none of the other candidates even mentioned that term either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, with regard to ISIS or radical Islamic terrorists, we're not going to weaken you. We're not going to degrade you. We are going to outright destroy you.
And that's exactly what needed to be said. And then it's funny. Trump imagined a scenario in which Trump himself might choose Cruz as a running mate. And the Democrats sue because we can't take him along for the ride. I don't like that. Then Cruz very poignantly said, I'm not going to be taking legal advice from Donald Trump. And Cruz, like my grandfather, a Harvard Law graduate, responded. He said that maybe he would make Trump vice president, which means he could benefit if Cruz was disqualified. You can get to the top, or you can get the top job at the end of the day. That was humorous. That was well done.
That was, and what that was a hard-hitting smack in the face that basically gave Donald Trump a new comb-over.
Huh. Yeah. And then, I love this too. It's reality. You just have to look today at Indonesia, bombings all over. You look at California. You look, frankly, at Paris. That big city in France. It has lights and that little tower thingy.
Not as big as my tower.
Yeah. Yeah. Trump said, when asked about a refugee that President Obama had invited as a guest to the State of the Union. Trump said that refugees' sympathetic story was not typical. Well, okay, you want to see how magnanimous we are? That was a good point. Just delivered in a crappy way. But Trump has said that he wants a temporary ban on all Muslim foreigners. Okay, that makes sense. Again, I thought Cruz's response to that was very appropriate.
Much more viable and much more legally solidified.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, we're going to ban all immigrants from countries that are supported by Hezbollah, terrorists, Al Qaeda, so on and so forth. See, that right there completely removed any legality of somebody trying to bring suit of, well, we want to come to your country and become naturalized, or we want to come here so that we can, it's our religious. No, it removes all qualms about it whatsoever. If you come from a country that is supported by terrorists, guess what? Stay there.
Later, Christie had criticized Obama for underplaying the threats of the U.S. I watched Story Time with Barack Obama. Hamburger.
Chicken nugget Happy Meal make me unhappy. 3 Happy Meals.
Oh, and then they talk about the undercard debate. Boy, I didn't even watch that this time. So,
No.
But I do think I want to touch on it. Carly Fiorina, Rick Santorum, and Mike Huckleberry. Meanwhile, where's Rand Paul? Why wasn't he there?
He's went off to audit the Fed. I'm going to take my Bilderbergers with me. Burgers, what?
Yeah. And so it's interesting. They offered gloomy visions of the country's path, all hoping that they might get a ticket to the top tier of the race. Well, as for Carly, she's had it, what? Twice now?
3
And
debates.
lost it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Now, it is interesting. They noticed that Cruz in the past had seemed reluctant to attack Trump's, perhaps hoping that he would inherit Trump's anti-establishment coalition if Trump himself faded. Now, the Texas Republican seems to have given up on that, or perhaps he is trying to hasten Trump's fade a bit faster.
In other words, get a new barber.
Yeah. Cruz is a cruise missile. And we need a cruise missile. In this era of deceit, in this era of rising terrorist threats.
Oh, it's just amazing that every time, it's almost kind of like a dogfight. Reminded of the movie Top Gun. Where they pull that flyby stunt, they do the inverted, -4 inverted dive with the MiG-28, whatever. What were you doing? Communicating? Yeah, flipping them the bird. That's pretty much what Cruz did in every single debate. He was engaged. He was locked onto. He evaded the lock, and he reciprocated and basically forced them to shut up.
Yeah.
But they still want to harp on that. They want to. It's kind of like, locking onto a target, with field artillery, but having no munitions to send. And it's just this annoying buzzing sound, beep 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 beep, and you just can't fire. It's like they're all shooting blanks, every one of them.
Yeah. And then this is interesting. In Pensacola, Florida, on Wednesday night, Trump had bragged that rivals who attacked him in the past have seen their poll numbers tank, sometimes to the point of being pushed out of the race. Now we have another debate tomorrow, which was now. They'll be attacking me, like, they attack whatever, right? Whatever. What the hell was that even saying? Whatever, man. They attack me or whatever. Forget about it. I'm making good points here. New York. Yeah.
And yet, he did nothing to stand up for himself.
Yeah. Oh, he said...
He took it. He took it.
Yeah. He said, they attack, Trump said. But they don't understand that unlike this country, I attack back. No, it's not the country. You moron! And yes, I did say that, because what he was saying there was actually an attack on the country. Maybe he didn't mean it that way, but that's how it came off. It's not the country that won't fight back, it's this current crop of leaderless morons.
Yeah. Which Trump is actually aligning himself with quite clearly. Because tonight...
Yeah, I mean, why else would he quote a radical extremist Keynesian left-wing lawyer like Berg?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how he attacked. He's not attacking back. Trump is too afraid to go after Cruz. He won't. He won't go after Cruz because he knows, Trump is a smart businessman. I will give him that. He knows business, okay? But the fact of the matter is, he knows nothing when it comes to debates.
Yeah.
He knows nothing when it comes to negotiating at this level. He can close a multi-billion-dollar deal with his eyes closed and blindfolded by Rubio's earlobes. Makes no difference.
Yeah.
But when you have a debate with an individual like Ted Cruz, who has stood in front of the Supreme Court and argued in defense of the Constitution and has won, who sat in the Senate, still sits in the Senate, argues on the floor, and wins.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz does not lose. You are unmatched. Rather, you're not of the caliber that Ted Cruz is regarding this arena. Period. You want to talk about business, 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 and a lot of your supporters keep having this grandiose delusion that the economy means something. You talk about jobs, you know what? Why don't you take a position on the Constitution? Why don't you stand up and state the facts that if the Constitution was followed, not abused as it is now, that in doing so, the economy would correct itself, the housing market would correct itself, the unemployment or the job market would correct itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because all three of those things fall directly under the purview of the Constitution being followed. Because if the Constitution is followed, there is no restrictions on people abiding by the law and engaging in lawful commerce, acquiring property, and capitalism. Period. But you want to take this stance, this shill, this house of cards position to where the economy doesn't mean anything. If it did, Romney would have beat Obama in 2012. Because that's exactly what Romney stumped on and campaigned on throughout his whole tenure in his campaign. The economy this, the economy that, blah, blah, blah. You know what Romney should have talked about? Fast and Furious. Wait a second. Ted Cruz did that tonight. He called out Eric Holder.
Yeah.
Talking about the Constitution. He talked about Fast and Furious. He talked about Benghazi. He talked about all the corruption, the violations of the Constitution, the appointments made by Adolf Obama, Sotomayor, anti-Second Amendment, fundamentalist, propagandist.
I'm looking at an article here on Fox Latino, and it's by a guy named Rick Sanchez, and he said, Ted Cruz is not a natural-born American, and neither am I. Get ready for this. Even if both of Senator Ted Cruz's parents were American-born, it still wouldn't matter. He was born in Canada, period. His parents weren't there because they needed to be. They were there because they wanted to be. Ted Cruz, by the letter and spirit of the law, cannot be president. Really? Ricky? Hey, Ricky! Ricky, you got some reading comprehension problems here?
Oh, no, Ricky!
Why don't we actually quote the law? You think you could get that for me? I don't have it right here, because I'll read up on this and you just tell me. So he says, here's why this matters to me. I've always wanted to be president of the United States. Oh, great. We're reading a third grader's article. Very good, Ricky Sanchez. It's not an ego thing, it's a respect thing. You'll see, 'cause I arrived in this country as an immigrant, and because I felt as if I'd been rescued. Well, that's the thing. Ricky, his mother was an American citizen. His mother never gave up her citizenship. She is an American. He is directly an American. You, as an immigrant, sorry to say, are not a natural born citizen. Now, you would be if either your mother or your father were, but you'd have to prove it with your father, whereas you don't with the mother, as we explained at the opening of the show. You see, people like Ricky here are part of the problem, because they keep spinning forth this lie over and over and over again. And where was Ricky when Obama was running?
Trying to bring up.
Yeah. Well, let me bring up how the article ends. He says, that's a problem, talking about, Cruz being born in Canada. A serious one at that for a man wanting to be president. Sorry, Ted, as a fellow Cubano American, I feel your pain, but I'm reminded of one of your favorite songs. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you might find you might get what you need. Good luck, Ted. All right, I'm going to attack Fox News here. Why do we need a Fox News Latino? What the hell is that? That's balkanization. Maybe Ricky Sanchez should go join Jerry Rivers and go hunt for Al Capone's vault. Because I'm sick of rubbish like this from the graduates of Pavlov's School of Journalism for the salivating mainstream media. What a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find this the naturalization law.
Let's see.
I have one, natural born citizen law, nationals and citizens of the U.S. So it's 8 U.S. Code, Section 1401, nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. This is from law.cornell.edu. The following shall be nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. A person born in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof. B, a person born in the United States to a member of an Indian, Eskimo, Aleutian, or other aboriginal tribe, provided that the granting of citizenship under this subsection shall not in any manner impair or otherwise affect the right of such person to tribal or other property. A person born outside of the United States and its outlying possessions of parents both of whom are citizens of the United States and one of whom has had a residence in the United States or one of its outlying possessions prior to the birth of such person. Or a person born outside of the United States and its outlying possessions of parents, one of whom is a citizen of the United States who has been physically present in the United States or one of its outlying possessions for a continuous period of 1 year prior to the birth of such person, and other of whom is a national but not a citizen of the United States.
Holy crap! But what we see here is it says nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. So you've got people like Ricky who's saying, well, that doesn't really speak to natural borning.
Now, under that section, again, let me read it. A person born outside of the United States, Ted Cruz is born in Canada, physically born in Canada, and its outlying possessions of parents, one of whom is a citizen of the United States who has been physically present in the United States or one of its outlying possessions for a continuous period of 1 year prior to the birth of such person. Let's see, his mother was born in 1934 to American citizens. That made her natural born citizen. Meaning that since she was the parent of Ted Cruz, who was born in 1970, 26 years later, so let's see, So his mother was born, but it was immediately moved to Canada and resided in Canada all the way up until the time that Ted Cruz was born. Yep, sorry, no. Because it does not specify at which time that 1 year prior to his birth was.
Yep.
That's how that works. For a continuous period of 1 year prior to the birth of such person. She was a citizen of the United States, resided in the United States until she married Ted Cruz's father. And even then, they still lived in the United States, but then they moved to Canada when he took up a job working on behalf of the federal government as a third-party contractor.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it just shows how disingenuous it all is. And then here's something interesting. I remember Beck kind of, saying that Rubio was a strong second choice for him. But he sort of changed his position again on January 14th. He points out Marco Rubio's latest ad, and Glenn Beck says it's a little slimy. It features a comment that he made about Rubio following a recent rally in Texas. After attending one of Rubio's events last week, this is from The Blaze, Beck and radio co-host Pat Gray said the senator was their second choice for president, presumably following Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Beck also said Rubio would crush Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton in a general election, which Rubio showcased in his latest campaign ad. Now let's see. I wonder how long the ad is. It's not telling me here. It's a 39-second ad. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and pull this up so that we can hear it, because I think it is, important just to see how disingenuous Rubio's going to be. I'm going to switch over to the monitor now.
While you're doing that, Randy, I just want to interject real quick. This law. I'm getting a weird echo. This law actually goes in further in Section E. It says a person born in an outlying possession of the United States of parents, one of whom is a citizen of the United States, who has been physically present in the United States or one of its outlying possessions for a continuous period of 1 year at any time prior to the birth of such person. So that just solidifies that whole thing right there. Done.
Okay.
Over and done with.
He will crush Hillary Clinton. Crush her. I was really impressed.
And so it's saying on this, the conservative choice for president. So he was taking everything out of context. You see, that's what we saw at the debate with dubious Rubio there. And sorry about the echo there, folks. When I switched over to the monitor, it's playing back what plays through my channel, so there will be a little bit of echo.
Just a little bit of turbulence, nothing more than that. We had to eject a few people out of the flight, but that's all right.
But anyway, back to this, it just shows that Rubio uses these kind of duplicitous measures that really shouldn't be used. It shows that he is dishonest.
Well, he's a fraud, just like you mentioned before.
He absolutely is. And he is a die-in-the-wool member of the detente wing of the gutless opposition party. Now, he's trying to adopt the language of the frontrunners. It's just not working. He's not as good at duping people as Trump.
Well, his whole thing, first of all, his speech etiquette, he's trying too hard to convey a message. He needs to stop trying so hard. Trump And this is where I'll give Trump a little bit more credit. See, he's more flamboyant. If anything is more proof than that, just look at his hair. He's going to go out there and he's going to say what he wants to say, how he wants to say it, and people are going to lap it up. Rubio is on the opposite side of the spectrum, where the problem is for those two individuals is Ted Cruz is more refined. He actually has the experience in circumstances like this, debating, arguing, making a case where he can actually say what's on his mind. He can refine it, tune it in, or tone it in exactly how it needs to be put, and he does that. He does that with precision. Rubio doesn't have the precision. He doesn't have the chutzpah or the charisma to do it. Donald Trump has nothing but flamboyancy and, you know, off the wall rage and very angry, you know, but he doesn't have that refined form of honing things in. That's the problem with both of those two individuals. And being on each side of Cruz like that, and on that spectrum, not Trump nor Rubio can get close enough to Cruz to knock him off kilter.
No. And you see, folks, this is why we say you have to use a constitutional lens, and that the Constitution is the only litmus test to be used in determining who should be qualified to be president. And we said before, and we repeat again, that Ted Cruz is the only one. And now, with that said, it is time for us to begin our descent. I'm going to send the flight attendant back for one last round of alcohol. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm your captain, Randy Wright. I want to thank you for choosing to fly the Wright Flyer. I invite you to leave comments, concerns, whatever, on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, or our Google Plus page, and I invite you to join us next time. Do take care. We will see you next time. Thank you for flying the Wright Flyer.